the strategies that I have used, those strategies have helped me every single time. If you are devoting a lot of time to a difficult question at the cost of leaving the easy question, that is going to cost you. That is going to cost you heavily, whether you solve an easy question or whether you solve a tough question. You get the same marks. CSAT, it is not a test of mathematics. No, it is something that is a test of the decision-making process. Whether you can make the decision of attempting this question or not, if you can do that in that 2-hour period, you may be able to qualify this CSAT paper. Hello students, welcome to Unacademy. In this video, we are going to discuss this, that what kind of a strategy I must have so that I clear CSAT every single time. Okay. Now this strategy that I have developed over my multiple attempts at the UPSC Prelims exam, in this I try and bring out to you what kind of strategy is going to be there so that it becomes very helpful to you as well. All right. These strategies can also be universally applied irrespective of the kind of background that you have. All right. So these are some strategies that I am going to share with you. Please watch and understand. All right. So first, a little bit about me, that I have written multiple CSC mains and I have also written the Indian Forest Services exam, reached the interview stages also. CSAT I have cleared in every attempt, and I am a graduate from NIT Warangal. This is just to tell you that I already have a decent mathematical background, which is also definitely, it helps a bit. It helps you to ease the kind of questions, or it decreases the amount of fear or anxiety that you have with respect to the exam. All right. So next, this is just for showing you the record that okay, these are the mark sheets which specify what are the CSAT marks. The CSAT marks are like this, and I am telling you the strategies that I have used. Those strategies have helped me every single time. Okay, they've helped me every single time, and they have also helped me to clear the CSAT without much of a issue, right? And one more thing that I would like to add, it is important, it is very, very important that you understand that CSAT is a qualifying paper, and therefore there must be some amount of time that must be allocated to its preparation. All right. But if you're someone who is very terrified of CSAT, what happens is students often devote a disproportionate amount of time that jeopardizes their GS preparation, often resulting in good marks in CSAT but less marks in GS. Okay, so it is a game of optimization. If I would have to say, it is a game of optimization rather than maximization, right? So try to optimize so that you clear the cutoff of GS as well as CSAT. All right. So next, first of all, the biggest realization that I must understand that all the questions, there are 80 questions in this paper. Okay, 200 marks, 2.5 marks per question. Okay, no question is rated as very, very hard or very, very easy or moderate, and therefore the marks are segregated in that manner. No such thing happens. All right. So what happens is that you will have equal marks for equal number of questions, same number of questions, whether you solve an easy question or whether you solve a tough question, you get the same marks. So naturally, the choice of you, if you are devoting a lot of time to a difficult question at the cost of leaving the easy question, that is going to cost you. Okay, that is going to cost you heavily, particularly because this is a qualifying paper, right? So this is some of the realizations. First, whenever we try to attempt this paper, okay, whenever I attempt this paper, I used to go for 3 rounds. Okay, whenever we talk about the prelims, whether it is GS or whether it is CSAT, we try to go in multiple iterations. What multiple iterations do to your paper is that they increase the accuracy. Okay, they also increase the kind of decision making. Oftentimes in the first round, you might be someone who will panic. Okay, and therefore in that phase, if you make a decision, that decision might be wrong. All right. So once you have completed the round 1, that means you see question number 1 to question number 80. Okay? You see what are the easy questions, irrespective of the section. Okay, do not differentiate whether it is logical reasoning, whether it is quantitative aptitude, or whether it is reading comprehension. I do not make a distinction between them. What I try to do is collect all the low-hanging fruits, collect all the easy questions in the first round. Okay, because they are going to give me the adequate number of marks, and these are the questions that the people who will qualify CSAT will definitely identify and do. All right, round 2. It is about attempting the moderate questions. Now, since you have identified the easy questions, you would be left with moderate and difficult questions. So next round should be devoted to moderate questions, right? Same strategy going from question number 1 to question number 80. Okay, whatever questions have been left, they are moderate questions, and these are moderate questions that I have to attempt. Okay, avoid the difficult questions and keep them for the round 3. Okay, do not go for round 3 questions, that is the difficult questions, in round 1. This is one of the basic mistakes that I've seen people do, and despite having the adequate amount of expertise across the sections, they are unable to perform in CSAT. Okay, so this identification becomes one of the strategies in which you can clear CSAT with your present aptitude level as well. Okay, it is just about rearranging your strategy and identifying it as easy, moderate, and difficult questions. Okay, now here is a point that we have to make, that don't look for sections. Okay, don't look for sections. I have come across a lot number of students who will say that, sir, I'll start with RC. I'll start with quantitative aptitude because I have a mathematical background, I have graduated from this college, and therefore I feel that maths is something that will give me accurate answers. RC is something that is going to give me, like, I get confused between the options. These are the common remarks, all right? So what I have to understand here, I have to understand that I am looking for marks. Okay, marks is something that I have to get to qualify this paper. Okay, it is not about looking at the sections. Okay, if you look at the sections, you will feel that in 1 year, one of the sections becomes difficult, and you placed all your bet for that section, and that did not yield. Okay, so do not make this mistake. Try to go for rounds, iterations, and by dividing them into various categories like easy, moderate, and difficult questions. Now, the next question, how do I identify the questions on spot? Okay, if you have been seeing the previous year questions, you will be in a state, you will find that you are able to identify those questions. You will develop a knack for it. Okay, that comes only after you have trained your mind to see whether this is an easy question, whether this is a moderate question, or whether it is a difficult question. Okay, now to put it into words, like, what are the characteristics usually? Okay, these are some of the characteristics that I always looked for in my CSAT paper. Okay, always you have to look for some kind of characteristics that just skimming through the question, I must be able to make a decision that this is an easy question, this is a difficult question, this is I should do right now, this is I should leave for later. Okay, so see, this is easy, moderate, and difficult. Quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning. Okay, quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning. What kind of easy questions are there? First of all, when you look at the question, the method is immediately available to your mind. You are automatically able to solve, you are able to calculate, you are halfway there solving the question. And if not this method, you also may be having an alternative method which would work in your favor. Okay, so you can start solving that question. So this is alternative method is visible, or major part you can solve mentally, right? What is a moderate type of question? A moderate type of question in quantitative aptitude would be method known, but execution is required. Huge number of calculations are involved. More calculations, more is the probability that you might go wrong somewhere, and it will take up your time. It will eat up your time that could have been devoted for easier questions. Okay, difficult question. Now, what is a difficult question? Long question. Okay, very long question they will give you. almost 1/4 of the page is being covered. Okay, and then they will give you many variables. Okay, you will get confused just reading at the question. The reading of the question itself takes you 1.5 minutes to understand what the question demands. Okay, those are difficult questions. Long questions, many variables, no immediate method. That is, you do not understand what kind of method should you deploy so that you are able to solve those questions. Okay, and then overlapping concepts. For example, if there is a complicated question, okay, there is a use of the probability concepts as well as permutations combination concept. This is something that you can avoid. Okay, it is not going to determine whether you qualify the CSAT paper or not. It is something you should avoid and not trade your time with your easy questions. Okay, talking about reading comprehension. Now, some identity markers that is related to reading comprehension. First, easy questions. Okay, what are the easy questions? Something that is related to GS. Now, because you're preparing for prelims, the GS topics you would be familiar with it. Okay, it will come naturally to you. All right. So GS related topics, economics, okay, environment, okay, these kind of subjects, if they have given a passage out of them, or they have given a passage out of current affairs that you're familiar with, okay, this is easier for you to understand. And also notice that it is easy for you to devote a smaller amount of time as compared to longer questions. Okay, GS related topic, familiar issue, direct language. Okay, they are not twisting the language anywhere. Simple passage, you can go through it, and it is a small passage. Multiple questions are attached to it. For example, there is a small passage, 2 questions are attached. Okay, I should go for that first because reading it will take me very less amount of time. It is familiar, so I will be taking even lesser time to understand what is missed and what is included in that article. And then I am able to do 2 questions, solve 2 questions from them. So this is an easy one, and therefore I should identify and do it on that spot. Okay. What is moderate and difficult? Moderate, abstract but understandable. Okay, something that is abstract, something that you do not understand very well, something that you have not conceptualized very well. Okay, there can be philosophical kind of passages, and in these kind of passages it might be some kind of subjective understanding that is required. So this subjective understanding, it might be interpreted differently, and therefore the chances of me going wrong is higher. Okay, so this is a moderate question. It has a moderate length. Okay, even the lines, you will feel that okay, this is around 7 to 8 lines. Okay, some passages are 10, 12 lines also. Okay, more than that also are there. Then we have difficult questions, philosophical passages, long essays, repeated reading. Okay, options which are very, very similar. Okay, so these become the difficult questions. So I am just talking about you being there in the paper, skimming the questions and understanding whether you should do it right now or whether you should postpone it for the later rounds. Okay, so this will help you to grab all the low-hanging fruits in the easy and the moderate sections and avoid the difficult ones. Okay, by this time, once you are done with round 2, if you are someone who is decent with CSAT, you would have automatically gone up to 45 to 50 questions, which is, by the way, enough for you to qualify CSAT, provided your accuracy is not way off the mark. Okay, at that point of time, you can consider, if you have time more left with you, you can consider going for difficult questions also. Okay, but it is up to you. All right. Now, the 2 biggest mistakes. Okay, the 2 biggest mistakes I would like to highlight. Okay, because I have seen many students, they fall into this trap, and therefore I would like to highlight these 2 biggest mistakes. One is mistake of making CSAT an ego issue. Okay, many people have a decent mathematical background. Okay, and they feel that CSAT is all about mathematics. Okay, and they go in with the mission of solving just the quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning questions. And there they get stuck on a difficult question and they make it an ego issue that I am a person with such and such background and therefore I should definitely solve this question. So this becomes a problem. Okay, why? Because the principle is very, very clear. UPSC is clear about it, that every question carries equal marks. It does not matter whether you are spending very little time or you are spending more time. Whether you are solving a difficult question, you're not going to get more marks. So do not make it an ego issue. Okay. Second, depending on one section, okay, that usually derives from the fear. Okay, fear of mathematics, fear of logical reasoning. Okay, so people usually shift lanes. They say that, okay, I must go for reading comprehension. What will you do if reading comprehension becomes the difficult section for that year? That has happened. In 2023, you had a difficult quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning paper. In 2024, students went to the CSAT exam thinking, okay, if maths is difficult, I will stick to RC. Many people said that I will stick to the section of RC. Okay, section of RC became a tad bit difficult for them. Okay, however, there were low hanging fruits in the other sections, okay, which could have been utilized in the same time that they used for the RC portions. Okay, so it is essential to you that you do not make it an ego issue and you do not stick to one section. Okay, you make it easy, moderate, and difficult, and according to that, you make your strategy. Okay, so my strategy has never depended upon these three things. Okay, it is not one thing alone. It is basically easy, moderate, and difficult questions. Okay, that means in the order of me maximizing my chances of getting more marks for my time. Okay. Now, three multipliers that improved the score. Okay, there are other things also. All right. First is elimination. Okay, they usually say that elimination is not working anymore. The thing is, in CSAT, for example, if you get a question in quants, okay, suppose the options are A, B, C, D, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are the options. Okay, and somehow you are able to determine that the answer cannot be more than 6.5. So definitely you can eliminate 7 and 8. Okay, and then you could use another kind of reasoning to arrive at the correct answer. Okay, so even in such kind of questions where you have devoted a lot of time, maybe even by logic, you can eliminate them. Okay, you can eliminate such kind of options, such questions which are, very difficult if you approach them the direct way. So reverse engineer a method, try to eliminate the options that cannot be possible, just remove them. Okay, so utilize this elimination method also. Okay, wherever it is possible, we have to try and maximize our opportunities to gain the maximum marks. Verification. Okay, I have seen that people commit mistakes. Okay, now this is more about your accuracy. Okay, if you are going for a decent accuracy, okay, even if you are going for say 40 questions, 45 questions, but you have a very good accuracy, you're still going to clear it. Okay, what is the required number of questions that you need to get correct? Net meaning removing the wrong questions. It is 27. That is 1/3. All right. So we need to verify if you have spent time over it and you have marked it in your OMR sheet. I would say before that process, just verify, double check, just go through the process again and verify if you have made any mistakes or not. Okay. Third, time protection. Okay, understand this, that time is a resource in this paper. If I give you 5 hours to solve that CSAT paper, I hardly doubt that any one of you may not be able to solve it or may not be able to logically come to an answer. Okay, the thing is that time, okay, it is in 2-hour period. You have to attempt 80 questions across the sections. Okay, and then also you will have to keep making the decisions whether you should attempt it or not. Okay, so time is very, very valuable. When you are presented with these kind of questions in a set amount of time, then it becomes a challenge. Okay, and therefore you must train for protection of your time, and this is particularly through your mock tests. Okay, so the most important lesson here is that CSAT, it is not a test of mathematics. Not a test of mathematics. कि I do not have very good grasp over mathematics, quantitative aptitude is weak, I cannot qualify CSAT. No, it is something that is a test of the decision making process. Whether you can make the decision of attempting this question or not based on your knowledge of your abilities. Okay, if you can do that in that 2-hour period, you may be able to qualify this CSAT paper. Okay, first, it is decisions whether to attempt or whether to skip, whether to return later to that question. Okay, that is, if you're stuck in a question, you felt that it was an easy question, you are taking inordinate amount of time, you must return later to it so that you avoid any kind of skipping of easy questions. Okay, eliminate the options which you find that they are definitely wrong. Okay, eliminate, use it. Okay, that is why they have given those options for you to identify the wrong ones as well as the right ones. Okay, so identify the wrong ones also. Then verify. Okay, if you are marking this, then it definitely needs to be verified. Okay, that means it takes hardly few seconds for you to run through the process and verify, make sure that I have read it correctly, I have understood the problem correctly, and I've solved it correctly without any calculation mistakes. Okay, so here is the thing that I want you to take away, that don't chase sections, try to chase marks. Okay, try to optimize the marks that you are getting, and this would be your entire strategy of attempting the paper. And this is something that has helped me throughout. Okay, even with identifying, whenever I'm preparing, I try to identify what are the weak spots, I try to strengthen it, and then I try to deploy this kind of a strategy to my mock tests. Okay, so we would be having such kind of classes, we would be having the topics of CSAT also, and I would welcome you to join in. And if you feel that your CSAT is weak, mostly I would say it is your emotional response to the paper. Okay, once you have a structured practice, you will feel much more comfortable with it. Okay, so thank you so much.